Sheldon Keefe speaks out after a must-win Game 5, and what some of these players said might surprise you. We'll get into this later on in this episode, but before we start, I just want to say to thousands of you watching that aren't subscribed, if you're enjoying this daily NHL content and you never want to miss another episode, make sure to go down and hit that subscribe button. We'll be all season long giving you updates from all around the league. Well, with that, we'll hop straight into the first topic today, which is Keefe speaks out on Knies. Now, the first thing I did want to touch on was the fact that Matthew Knies spoke out after scoring the OT winner, and he said, "Gosh, you black out a little bit, you know? I was just so excited and so happy." He continues on to say, "I think what brought me the joy the most was to see the faces of my teammates and how much they wanted to keep playing." Obviously, Matthew Knies was a wrecking ball this entire game, scoring the OT winner, and like he said, the faces of the team said it all. Their season lives on, and they get another shot on home ice. And Sheldon Keefe also kind of spoke out on Knies a little bit as well. He came in on a high of adrenaline high last year and didn't know much. He was just playing and being big, strong, that's working with a good stick. But he's been really building the series game by game. He's been getting better and better. I thought tonight he was terrific. It was fitting he got the winner, and I'd say all fans would agree on this. We've seen him get into the little scrum with Pasta where he looked at him, shoved him, said, come at me, you won't, come at me." This is where this guy went from a kid to a man, and Knies really took over. Looking at Knies' his entire series, he hasn't been putting up an incredible amount of points. He does have 2 goals, but the thing to focus the most on with a young guy in his second year in the NHL, he had 3 hits, 6 hits, 6, 3, and scoring the OT winner. We're starting to see Knies really build onto what's the early stages of NHL career, where we see him laying hits, scoring big goals in overtime, getting the nod on the second line with John Tavares for the second season. And just, Casey, what's your thoughts on Knies' development so early in his career?
I mean, what an unbelievable, experience for Matthew Knies, the kid last night. It was great to see like all the emotion from every one of the players. So from that goal last night, keeping their season alive, keeping their Stanley Cup hopes alive. So it was just great to see Matthew Knies have that experience and be the hero last night in a night where they needed somebody to step up with Auston Matthews out of the lineup. And I thought he did the perfect job at this. And to get to your question, I mean, Matthew Knies has shown development ever since he's came into this Leafs team. He's grown as a player throughout, I mean, what is it, the last 2 seasons is he with the Leafs now? He's been a great player offensively, but has really improved his defensive play as of late. I mean, they threw him out there on the penalty kill in Game 4, and he had some great, breakups with his stick to prevent the Boston power play of scoring any goals on the power play in Game 4. And then Game 5, he gets the overtime goal. He's been all around the net. He's been on heavy on the forecheck, and it was just it was just about a time he put one in the back of the net. It was great to see him share this experience with his teammates last night and really give the Maple Leafs a little push here going into the next game.
Yeah, the big thing with Knies, and you said it best, him on the forecheck, in my opinion, has been by far the best Leafs player. This is a guy that came in last playoffs, played a few games before going out with a concussion. He got a full season under his belt and now into his second playoffs, and he's just been outstanding, forechecking, laying hits, holding his composure, and I think a lot of this has to do with John Tavares being his line mate. A lot of people look up to captains, and experienced vet like John Tavares has really helped with Matthew Knies' development. And what's your guys' thoughts on Knies? Do you think he's going to be the power forward of the future? Do you think he's just going to be a middle 6 guy? Let us know down in the comments. But with that, we'll get straight into the second topic today, which is fighting for our lives. And we seen a quote come out from Domi last night that I just thought was the perfect quote and the perfect way to sum all this up. And he was talking after Joseph Woll shut the door on the Boston Bruins. Matthew Knies scores the OT winner, and he says, "Playing for our lives, and we aren't going to be denied." This is just outstanding leadership from Domi, just seeing that he doesn't want this season to end. There's so many rumors floating around this team, and they want to continue. We also see Morgan Rielly just speak out and say, "You're fighting for your season. There's definitely more on the line." So the expectations of work ethic and execution go up. We're seeing these guys in the roles of Max Domi coming in as a new face on this roster. Morgan Rielly, who has been the longest tenured Leaf on this entire roster right now, saying how important this is, how much they don't want this band to break up. Like I said, the rumors are floating around. This team is on the hot seat. They don't want this season to end like this. I did want to focus on Max Domi briefly and just speak on how important he was in the game last night. You seen Max Domi, and the biggest thing a lot of people didn't notice was he went 12 for 2 in the face-offs, which was 85.7%, which is just outstanding. We've seen him come in, get an assist. We've seen an assist in Game 3. We've seen a goal and an assist in Game 2. In my opinion, Max Domi has been one of the most important players on this Leafs team, and a lot of people were talking, hey, who do we bring back? Is it Bertuzzi? Is it Domi? What do we do with this? And in my opinion, Max Domi is a must. He's going to be a big key to this Leafs team, not only in this comeback, and I'm saying in this comeback when the Leafs win in 7, not only this season, but in the seasons to come. And what's your thoughts on Max Domi's fit? And do you like him at center more than wing?
Yeah, what did I tell you guys before this series? I said, you're going to fall in love with Max Domi because this guy is the heart and soul of any team he is on during the playoffs. And we're seeing that right now with this unbelievable quote that you could see at the beginning of a documentary. I mean, that was just an unbelievable game from Max Domi last night, stepping up into that center role and winning so many faceoffs for this team. And now he can kind of go wherever. We've seen him excel playing on the wing with Matthews. Now last night, we've seen him excel playing at center. So this is a guy who you can put in anywhere in that lineup, in any situation, and he's going to go out there. He's going to work his butt off for this team and try to get this team a Stanley Cup, because I know he wants one. He wants one for his dad. He wants one for the city of Toronto. And I wouldn't want anybody else on my team if I'm the Toronto Maple Leafs like Max Domi. So to answer your question, if I was Brad Treliving or the GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs and I look at this team and I say, who do I bring back? You got to bring back Max Domi. I mean, this guy has so much passion to be a Toronto Maple Leaf that I think would be silly not to bring him back next season.
Yeah, the biggest thing, like you said, this guy bleeds blue. He wants to be on this team. He wants to win with this team. He fits in perfectly. We can see him play the wing. Yesterday on center, 85% on the top line with Mitch Marner and Tyler Bertuzzi. He adds so much to this team with his passing, his speed, his grittiness. We see him get under people's skins. He looks like a light version of Brad Marchand. This guy is going to be a huge impact, and I think he's not getting enough credit for his game last night as guys like Joseph Woll and Matthew Knies, who both deserve their credit, but Max Domi deserves the credit too, because he stepped in a hard situation to fill the void of Auston Matthews, and I think he did the perfect job. But speaking on Matthews, and it's a topic a lot of people don't really want to talk about, where does Matthews fit when he does return to the Toronto Maple Leafs? So the biggest thing is we've seen Max Domi just kind of say how, like, well, Keefe spoke out and said how good the line was, but Domi said he wanted to give Matthews a chance to get back in the lineup, and they did that, which leads into where would Matthews fit within this team. So obviously this top line, and looking at Sheldon Keefe's quotes, looking at the stats, watching the game using my eye test, Max Domi, Mitch Marner, and Tyler Bertuzzi cannot be broken up no matter what. Obviously Sheldon Keefe loves to run Mitch and Matthews together, but I think this top line has to stay together. I think the second line has looked good. It's just a matter of time before Willie gets on the board, Tavares gets on the board. We see Knies get on the board. So in my opinion, and it might not be a great take, and a lot of people might not agree with it, but I'm dead certain on it, Auston Matthews has to start on this third line between Nick Robertson and Pontus Holmberg, slide Calle Jarnkrok down to the fourth line. But Matthews has had experience with Holmberg, with Robertson. We've seen Holmberg score 2 goals while playing with Mitch Marner and Auston Matthews. So I think this is the perfect fit for him. It kind of spreads out the offense and makes it harder for Boston with matchups as well. And what's your thoughts on just getting Matthews back in on the third line, maybe just to cause a chaos line where the Bruins can't really find the matchups for him?
I think that take you just said might be the hottest take we've ever had here on the channel, to put a 69 goal scorer on the third line. But I mean, I do kind of agree with you. I think it's a solid take. It's not the worst take I've ever heard, but I know a lot of people are going to disagree with it down below. But me personally, if I am to place Auston Matthews in, you got to put him back in on that first line. I don't see how they don't do that. Obviously, Max Domi just had a phenomenal game playing with his old junior teammate Mitch Marner, but I think that he could impact this third line a lot better than he would staying on that top line with Auston Matthews in the lineup. I think maybe moving Holmberg down to the fourth line and maybe moving Kampf out as a scratch, or maybe moving Holmberg out as a scratch and putting Max Domi in at that center on the third line. I think we've seen how good he was playing center in the last game. So I really do think they go back to him with the at the C position if Auston Matthews does return. And I think having a playmaker like Max Domi down there with a guy like Nick Robertson, who is just waiting to find the back of the net. I mean, he's had, some great chances, in my opinion, in this series to put one in the back of the net. So I think if he has an elite passer with him like Max Domi, I think it's only a matter of time before we get Nick Robertson going here in the playoffs.
Yeah, the big thing is I've seen a lot of people talking on too is maybe sliding John Tavares to the third line, putting Matthews between a guy like William Nylander or Matthew Knies. Obviously, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But the Leafs are fighting for their season. I've seen some people say keep Matthews out of the lineup completely, and that is just an outlier, just a terrible take in my opinion. This guy has to be in the lineup, and with the top line playing so well, I think Keefe is really going to have to sit down with his coaching staff and say, hey, what are we doing here? How's this going to work? What's your guys' thoughts on this too? Where would you put Auston Matthews in the lineup when he does return? How would you want the lines looking heading into Game 6, which is another must-win? Let us know down in the comments. But talking about comments, we'll get into everyone's favorite topic, which is comments of the day. And the comment of the day comes from Rob. He said, I've been thinking about third line next season for the Leafs and the potential to be the second or the first line as well. Knies, Minten, and Cowan. Now, Rob, with this, I do really like the thoughts of having Knies, Minten, and Cowan together. My only problem with this is a lack of experience between these three guys. So in my opinion, you bring this guy up, I think Minten is going to be the bona fide third-line center next season. Maybe Cowan starts on the fourth, maybe starts in the middle six, maybe plays with John Tavares. The Leafs have a lot of options to work with. You would try this early season on, but in the playoffs, I don't know how much I would trust not full rookie line, but two rookies and a young Matthew Knies. But what's your guys' thoughts on this as well? Where would you want these two guys playing in the lineup? Let us know down in the comments. While you're down there, you could be featured in the next episode of Hat Trick HQ, so make sure to leave a comment, like, subscribe. But I've been Mark with my co-host KC. Keep your stick on the ice.